This is Steve Strumley, and you're listening to the Unofficial Lounge.
The Unofficial Lounge with Ashante, Craybon, and Monty. We're here to give you the insight into some of the biggest plays you remember, involving the people wearing the stripes. We look at the grit it takes to become an official while exploring the history of officiating with the people who made it. It's more than black and white.
I want to talk about. I'm just saying, like, what's off the table? You know, you TV now. I want to talk to you like a TV personality. You know?
Right on. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Unofficial Lounge. We are joined again with a very special guest. After him fighting through his computers and all this other stuff, he really came on, and we really appreciate him coming back on the show. The first time we spoke to this gentleman, I think we had such a good time. We had to split it into two shows for it to get on. So everybody, welcome back to, I wouldn't say new because he's been at it for a year and a half now, but retired from the field. I mean, the referee of referees that everyone knew moved into the TV world on NBC, which is going to be big difference now because this year coming in, they're going to have the Big Ten game. So it's going to be even more games for them to work. But please welcome to the show, Mr. TV Analyst, Reggie Smith.
Great introduction, guys. Glad to be back on the Unofficial Lounge. As I said, you do great things here. Always glad to drop by and talk a little shop, talk a little non-shop.
Hey, there you go.
You've been the highly most anticipated part two. Like, I've been getting this for so long. When y'all dropping that Reggie Smith episode, second part two, I'm like, it ain't available, but we working. They've been asking for part two, and I'm like, man, everybody want to hear your story, Reg.
Well, lots changed, since we talked the last time. I mean, a lot. I mean, jumped to conference, switch conferences, came off the field, switched professions. So it's, there's been a lot that's gone on, since, I want to say, 20?
We don't know.
19,
right.
Man, it's been a minute. Yeah.
It's been a minute. So I think the last time we talked, Reg, is when you had just made the shift from the Big 12 to the Big 10. When you made that shift. And so now we moved on to, what has it been, a year and a half, or has it been 2 seasons or 1 season? It's been 2 seasons now, right?
One season.
One season. Okay. I mean, times just fly past, but you stepped off the field, you moved into the analyst role. How was that first season moving into NBC?
Man, I tell you what, it was an awesome experience, but, just like, certain times, pitches will catch you off guard. You're expecting a fastball, getting ready for season number 4 of the Big Ten. And now here we are, with this, all of a sudden offer. But, where it really started, just as far as like NBC was, got to give all the credit in the world to Terry McCauley for, just even mentioning me and, planting the seed, actually, that this is something I might be good at. So he, called me, back in May of last year, 23, and sort of said, hey, Reg, listen, you're young. There's a lot of things you want to do in football still, I know. But here's what's going on with NBC. He stated how they became one of the newest media partners of the Big Ten Conference. And last year was an opportunity to showcase some of those games. But based on everything that was going on sort of with, the NFL, Sunday Night Football, which of course is NBC's, flagship, deal there, which Terry's a part of, was the Amazon Thursday night game. And then Terry was doing the Notre Dame games on NBC on Saturday. So sort of created an elastic demand for a new college analyst, and he sort of planted that seed. Asked if it would be okay if he passed along my contact info to a producer, who then reached out maybe about a week or so later, and we had a talk and went through an extensive interview process that included screen test, actually going up to the studio and doing an in-studio test, just so they can, sort of like football, get some film on you. And from that point, just basically, sat and waited. And it was the weekend just before our clinic was set to start, the Big Ten clinic, that I received an offer.
Great catch,
And
homie.
the week of the clinic, I was sort of torn with that decision. Do I stay? Do I go? And then when you look at, hey, how often do these roles come up? Look at the people who are in these roles. I said, I can't control if this is going to come around again in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. So it was one of those things where I, had an interest for it, thought it might come later, but I saw it as an opportunity that, that was worth taking, at the time.
And that's interesting you say that, Reg, because you have a lot of experience. So we all look at you as a very veteran official, but age-wise, of this life,
Young
you're
OG.
a very you're a young OG. That's perfect. So how much pull was it of? I mean, because you're one of the most recognizable officials out there, well respected, commanding the mic, and so on. To then the leader that you were, and have that camaraderie as we do on the football field, to then go, okay, I'm gonna give that up and do this solo thing, come off the field. That's hard for all of us, right? And even when we've done it for 30 years, it's
Right.
hard for somebody to come off the field. Was it much of a struggle, or did you have enough time leading up to it, knowing it may happen, to deal with, if it did come, what you were going to do?
Again, there was not a whole lot of build up to this.
Okay.
Went through the interview process, and then probably went about 2.5 weeks without hearing anything. And
Gotcha.
I'm just sort of assuming, okay, the process is, working itself out. Maybe there are some other candidates, that they're interested in, and, just hadn't really heard anything. And then it's like, funny thing, I reach out to Terry. I'm like, hey, are you hearing any rumblings? And, shortly thereafter is, sort of when, information started coming, because I was at a point where I was almost considered, okay, here's my drop dead date to know what I'm doing, because, first and foremost, it was an honor working in the Big Ten Conference. And the Big Ten Conference is as such where it deserves to have a referee who's going to be 100% in. I mean, you're a major college referee. You understand that,
Hold up, you talking about Craven?
Yeah, talking about Chris.
Oh, hold up, my bad. Oh, okay. Damn. He worked one season. He got respect on Monty.
Hey, I got nothing but kudos, baby. Nothing but kudos.
I'm sorry, Reg, my bad.
Man, you gotta be careful with this guy.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. What's one of your old sayings, Reg? If you come to a football game, you better make sure you bring your own friends with you, because nobody else. Same with this show. I got to sign up some. I got to sign up some friends to be with me on the show.
They got to be family. They can't be friends. So, I understand, Reg, that's you had to give them a drop dead date, and you said it wasn't something you was looking for, that you was anticipating. So how hard, painful was it to let that? I know you probably had a crew to let that group of people that you was going to work with know too.
Well, excuse me. The guys on the crew, the folks on the crew, were the hardest, because I was in a rebuilding year as far as crew was concerned. But there were some people I was really looking forward to working with. of my original crew, I'd say I kept my umpire, kept line of scrimmage, line judge. But I mean, I didn't get the opportunity. Rod Amari was going to be my head line judge that year. Man, it would have been great to be able to, work a full season with Rod at that position. Didn't get a chance to work with Nicole Randolph, who is, just doing great things now, and officiating in the Big Ten Conference. And, it was her rookie year. So, you sort of get reinvigorated as a referee, or as a veteran referee, when you get assigned a rookie. It sort of helps you put things in perspective that, okay, here's someone who may not be 100%, knowledgeable of our processes, how we do things. So it helps you, you to get back to the steps. And, of course, there's that instruction level, that factor. So, and just being able to help someone along in their career. So, missed out on that opportunity. Was going to be working with a very promising second year back judge. Didn't get that opportunity, and, just so many others. But, it was hard to, tell them. But, being that it wasn't like a long time established crew, there wasn't a whole lot of, like that divorce, so to speak. Like, okay,
You just went and got a cup of coffee, huh? Daddy went and got some milk.
That's right. But here's the thing that's true and constant. And many people find this out the hard way, but we're all replaceable.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, everybody's 100% replaceable. And life has gone on in the Big Ten. Just
come on, Reg, give us some hope here, buddy. Come on, man.
Well, again, hopefully nobody finds that out the hard way. But at 42, like, that was a struggle. It's like, okay, I'm 42 years old, and I can make this decision to work for 20 more years on the field, God willing, or try to dive into a new career that could potentially go very, very long, God willing. So at some point you look at everything that you've done. Would I have liked to have done more? I would have loved to have done more. But again, these opportunities are fleeting. It's not, there's 6 analysts in all of football between NFL and college. And, one company's looking to fill a spot right now. ESPN's looking to replace John Perry. So it's one of those deals where officiating, leads to, other opportunities. And Cravon, we've talked about those, whether it's replay, whether it's, in a supervisory role, whether it's, because everybody can't go to the National Football League. And even then you're going to, time out, so it's one of those things where you got to determine, hey, where do I want to be within this profession? And I just happen to be under like a brand new umbrella. So it's, but everything that I did in officiating is what, helped to prepare me, just for, even the opportunity. So
let's talk about the audition process, because years ago, I worked with a guy that actually auditioned for play-by-play announcer for the Lakers, way when Chick had passed. So did they sit you in front of a monitor with plays and, have you work it out? Did they, was it that type of audition, or was it just more of just a regular job interview?
No, well, one was you do the regular job interview. And, a lot of what we do, in our day-to-day jobs, unless you're working communications, you're working, in front of cameras, isn't going to adequately prepare you for, just automatically being behind a camera. I mean, but, certain, professional, acclamation, certain fields, put you in, positions where you're dealing with people. And really, that's all an interview is. You're dealing with people, you're sharing about you, sharing your ambitions, sharing what you may bring to the table. So there's that aspect of the audition. But when it came to the role of the actual analyst, it was interesting how they recreated it, because it was, a Zoom call whereby, they're playing plays, showing me these clips of plays. And now they're, asking you, okay, where there was Terry McCauley's, analysis from the past season, they would just eliminate that and sort of record me and I'd pop into that role. So basically they're showing me a play and I'd analyze what was going on based on, on seeing it on the screen at that moment.
Okay. So you're sitting there, you're doing that. After, during the season, have you found yourself, because you on the microphone as a referee was great, and you had a more detailed announcement than a lot of officials, even myself. I try to keep it, I tell people, if I ever can build up to give an example on the mic that Reg does, I will be good. Did you find yourself having to shorten that up in the TV role to where it's like the least amount of words, the better, because you don't have that much time?
Absolutely. In the phrase that we use and, that I'm still learning and Terry's gotten very good at is word economy. So, and, just this past weekend, I was at a clinic and, talking to the referees about, okay, sometimes, you got to realize you're not there for a diatribe on the rule. And so what you want to do in an analytical role, as I found, was, you're getting cued in, and the headset is in one whole ear is the producer. And the producer is like the conductor of a symphony. I mean, he's, waving his hands, calling all the shots. I mean, communicating with the on-air talent, obviously the people in, the production studio, us as analysts, and cameramen here and there. So based on all of that, we're getting a cue in. It's like if there's a controversial play, first of all, we're going to be aware. Our roles as officials, even if we're sitting in our living room watching a game, is to say, okay, something's about to happen here. Boom, that flag went up at the snap. And, using that as an example, I see a flag go up at the snap. Well, as somebody who's been around the game for a long time, I know that I'm looking for a defender in the neutral zone or I'm looking for 5 men or more in the backfield, right? Those
Right.
are the two things that it can be when merge what from football and what they want in this role. And so at that point, I would be in communication with the producer saying, okay, this looks like it's going to be left defensive end number 99's in the neutral zone at the snap. Something like that. That type of information then gets passed down to the color commentary and the play-by-play. And now that's being piped in. They're able to maybe circle it on their telestrator, or they're able to bring mention to it and pass it off as, genuine knowledge, on their part. But, that's sort of, some of the behind the scenes work. And, it gets, and to get back to your word economy, like when they actually bring me in. So now I'm on a countdown. They're going to bring me in. I've got to try to determine, okay, how do I sum this up? And I've got to remember, I'm not exactly dealing with I'm not at the dock, where
Right.
people are going to understand the, terminology. I'm not in my local association meeting. So now I've got to take it, put it in, the simplest terms, lowest common denominator type
So
terms.
grandma can understand it.
That's right. And try to make it understandable for, the viewership at home, all while trying to boost our talent also in a supporting cast role.
Do you find it
Hey,
hard
Reg,
to?
have you?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Monty.
Hey, have you been impressed with the people that you're working with on their football knowledge in the in NBC?
Yes.
All the cameramen and everything. Just is that impressive?
Yes. I mean, Monty, that's a great question because, like,
No, it
seeing what
wasn't.
goes on the, seeing what goes on the production side, when you're a referee like Cravon and I, that expertise is limited to visiting the truck before the game. And then, at that point, we're meeting with, the on-site, could be the producer, director, whoever. And that's pretty much the limit of, okay, this is behind the scenes. Like in that time, I would take the opportunity to give them a card that had our names and our positions. And then basically you're coordinating with the red hat, when we're going to get these commercial breaks in. But now on the side where I am, just like high level production, I mean, we have a production meeting that's probably the equivalent of a football pregame meeting. The night before, we're on this call. Some people are on site, they're in the conference room. I'm on a Zoom call. And now we're talking about, all right, let's say you've got a quarterback who's about to, break a certain record. They will literally know, okay, this is where his mom and dad are sitting. This is his mom and dad's name. We're going to flash this on the graph. Oh, his dad happened to be the quarterback of the 1978 yada yada team, that won the whatever bowl. I mean, and now those are the graphics that they're going to generate, and that's how they build their show. In the first quarter, they're going to have certain topics that the color and play-by-play analysts are going to, establish. And then as the game goes on, hopefully these players that they're talking about go on to achieve some good numbers, make some great plays, further giving the, talent opportunity to talk them up. And then at a predetermined point, they're going to have a certain, highlight package that they're going to run. And just learning how all of this stuff flows into, their process of the game, it's been like, wow. It's like you think about it, from our limited interactions, and it's like, listen, as long as we get that 3-4-3-4, I don't want any of these timeouts carrying over.
Yeah.
Let's get these bad boys as quickly as possible.
And now they're trying to be like telling storylines and stuff, and to see some of that, it's been like one of the more interesting sides of that job, Monty.
Now,
Reg, just saying that 3-4-3-4, that's just I always wonder why people so mean and so don't want to get to those timeout stuff, man. That's thing paying the bills.
That's paying the bills.
But Cravon knows they don't always ask for these timeouts at the most opportune times.
Yes, they did not be at the most. Right. You look up, it's like, hold up, man. They just punted. Ain't no continuity here.
Man, and I was infamous for, hey, if the timeout doesn't fit right now, I'm waving the red hat off. One time a red hat saying, listen, the guy's telling me in my ear, I got to have a tee. And I'm telling you, no. I'm like, didn't we talk about this before the game? We talked about this in the producer was there too. And then he tries coming on the field at a time where, I'll give an example. We have a change of a quarter. We get about 8 seconds into the new quarter. And yeah, there was a score, but we just came off of a, 3-minute long quarter break. The Red Hats, I'm waving them off the field, and, there's some choice words coming out of my mouth. I'm like, man, we can't be in this situation where there's no flow, like you said.
So did you grow as a referee to do that? Because I know Young Reg in Conference USA or the Big 10, 12 would have did that. So how did you, that grow into pushing the red hat, what I'm saying, as I'm sure you're going to be maturing.
Look, a lot of referees, unfortunately, will capitulate to the red hat. Whether it makes sense or not, they see the red hat with the arms crossed, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, I've got to, get this time out. And I'm like, listen, we're 8 seconds into this new quarter. We just look, we're going to have plenty of time. Both teams have all 3 of their timeouts.
Yeah.
The way people have been dropping like flies in this game, there's going to be some injury timeout. I mean, there's going to be opportunity. So it was like, I never sweat that type of stuff from the production side as a referee. I mean, I was probably there were probably producers who were like, man, this guy's an asshole. It's like, I don't see how people deal with them. He denied my request twice in one game. I mean, it's like, listen, it didn't make sense. We're not going to it. But now, like on this side of it, you understand and know, basically you got to know your role. Like my role now is that of a supporting cast member. And so I carry myself accordingly. It's like, what can I do to enhance and
the production?
Yeah, the production. Make the guys, look good that are, calling the game.
So how often do you get fitted for those Brooks Brothers suits?
Look, Brooks Brothers, man, I tell you, that'd be great. No, we've got some people like Terry's got like a contract for like wardrobe. So me being the new guy, and I'm still in contract 1,
It ain't
I
at
don't
Marshalls, is it? I hope your contract ain't
TJ
with
Maxx. He got
Marshalls.
the TJ Maxx.
Man,
Ross,
they
just for
they give
less.
him Men's
Ross.
Warehouse, man.
Ross got
Ross.
me. Ross.
He got Ross.
you
Ross is
got
gonna
a
love
hard
this.
time finding the jacket and pants that match.
He just need the top. He just need the top.
Hey, no, true story. At least one game, every season, even as a referee, we're going to the, various towns. And it's not that I forget. It's like, okay, I'm going to go buy something new, when I get to town, do this, that, the other. Maybe I might have a jacket. It could be a shirt, tie, whatever. So Scanlon and I, get in the habit of like going to these various malls whenever we get here. We're seeing stuff, this rack, that rack. We're dressing up. We're telling our crew before you know it, you get a crew who appreciates like looking good. And so that's something I had. So when I go to NBC and you go into the wardrobe, we've got like 2 big rooms of wardrobe for everybody important. Nope, not me, but everybody important. You got Tarico stuff, Collinsworth, Jason Garrett, like all these people have their wardrobes like lined up. And I'm like, man, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have to carry a wardrobe bag into the studio every week? I mean, we're talking about first world problems, here.
It is, Raj. It
like
is.
one week I didn't have I had a travel issue. And so nothing like made it. Of course, I checked a bag, which I should know better, but didn't have my stuff.
Well, you've been reffing for years, Reg. Come on.
Right. It's
That
like,
money
once you
changed
come
them.
out the field, it's like all those talents and resources. It's like they just go away. But get up there, and like one time I had to be dressed by wardrobe, and it was no big deal because there's plenty. But we got talented people up there who are saying, okay, this is what's going to look good the way the lighting is in Studio 2. Well, based on being in Studio 6 today, we want to dull it down a bit, and we can have a tie and a pocket square that'll, pop. And I'm like, hey, these people went to school, did something to be in these positions. And, it's like I don't question anything anymore.
Well, there you go.
I hope
Ashante, just remember when you do your contract, Ashante,
I
get that
hope they-
wardrobe in there.
I hope they got the jacket back. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, it looked good. I might have wanted to walk out with it. You never know.
But okay. But
Now, Reg, with you being so new off the field, unlike some of the other analysts that maybe have been off for a minute, or they was us as officials critique each other so hard, right? When we're watching film off the field and grading and evaluating, do you find it hard not to critique and analyze as you're giving your evaluations of the play in games?
One thing that I actively seek to do is give positive praise where and when possible. If in my analysis I can say, okay, hey, this is a great call on the field, should be quickly confirmed by replay, things of that nature is, what sort of builds up, you guys on the field. But, there are times where, there's a breakdown in mechanics. There's a breakdown perhaps in judgment, whether
Ashante's still at the 5-yard line when he should be at the goal line.
hey, man.
forgetting he has a job, forgetting he didn't pay for that seat. No, but it's like whenever I see something that's going on, I've learned that it's okay to critique the process. There's going to be a lot of people who, as you know, are already critical, just based on the uniform we wear. So I don't feel it's in my nature. Like, I'm a critical guy, like when reviewing film, certainly when reviewing my own, reviewing others, I'm going to be able to find feedback that's directly shared with officials. But as far as what's being shared over the air and to millions of people, I don't know that I can, attack like something would have to be egregious. And even then, I wouldn't get to the point where it's like, oh man, referee Cravon Barrett's having a bad day today. I mean, at some point, this crew's got to get it together here.
Oh.
Don't worry, there'll be plenty of text by halftime.
He just texted you is basically what he's saying.
Right.
But just in the process of being analytical, I found you don't have to be overly critical, but there are legitimate breakdowns, and who knows, how that bedside manner will continue to develop over time.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you was going into your fourth year into the Big Ten.
Yep.
And how many years were you at the Big 12?
I was 11 years in the Big 12,
And how many in Conference USA?
3 years in CUSA, 4 years. I'm
4 years.
sorry, five,
So
6, 7, and 8.
did anybody mail you that gold watch when you retired off the field? Because I'm trying, did anybody say?
No, no. There's no golden watch. There's just, you know, the fact knowing that you're replaceable. It's
Okay.
like, look, I left the Big 12, they replaced me. I left the Big 10, they replaced me. And I mean, it's not to say that you won't be missed, in certain capacities. there there may be many who still miss me in the Big 12. And, Big 12's a, very great league, has a special place in my, heart for sure. But when I left the Big 12 to go to the Big 10, it made sense at the time, to, try something new. But again, it's, no matter where you're, lucky enough to work, like I was looking forward to year 4, coming up in the Big 10 when, this offer came along. So, at that point you ask yourself, have you done enough that you're proud of? I mean, I still didn't work Ohio State, Michigan, which was my motivating factor for going to the Big 10 conference. It's like, man, what else can you do? Oh, well, you work Bedlam, you work Red River, you work, a few Farmageddons. Cravon, I really hope you get a Farmageddon. But you get a couple of the rivalries that are known
Hold
in
up,
that
Reg. What's
conference.
a Farmageddon?
What's
We're not
Farmageddon?
gonna let that
Oh,
slip.
Farmageddon. My bad. Everybody doesn't know but Farmageddon's the rivalry game between Iowa State and Kansas State.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds cold.
Gotcha. Right.
It's like
Gotcha.
corn versus wheat.
Okay.
How do you like your whiskey? Corn, wheat. Which one do you want?
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, makes sense. But like you said, Reg, you were able to do a lot of bowls, so it wasn't nothing you pretty much left on the field. So you could probably take your sneakers off. And also I know your kids are getting a little older, and I know you want to be closer, with family, right? So
Well, and that's one of the things that's one of the initial reasons why the Big 10 made a lot of sense. Was, recounting this story this past weekend that as they began being more active in, sports, and not just that, but I got my wife zigging and zagging, driving, doing it all, basically because I'm away on football weekends until, Sunday afternoon, getting back from some destinations. You're out, like I travel a lot for work, 75%. So, there were deficiencies like at home that I needed to be at home a lot more, even with work in football. And so the Big 10 was affording me the opportunity to work a game on a Saturday and get home on a Saturday. And that way I've got all day Sunday, to be, with my family. So, that was an important factor at the time when I made that switch because, it's like, who leaves after working in Orange Bowl? I didn't leave the Big 12 because I wasn't happy. I mean, that's nothing could be to the contrary. It was just the opportunity to, work Ohio State, Michigan, the opportunity to be closer to family, in in season more. So those were some of those motivating factors. And, there were, things much different about the Big 10 than the Big 12. So, but, you learn. Cravon's going to learn. You jump programs, different styles, like going from playing for different coaches. So,
okay. So how is it now with your job in NBC to travel?
so, I remember one of the motivating factors about climbing the ladder and officiating, to me at least, was the thought of being in a major stadium one week and a major stadium the next week, a major stadium the week after that, and so on and so forth. And so you got used to, okay, I want to get a little, see how they do it in this town, that town, this town. The Big 12 was a great conference to travel around in. I mean, the Big 10, mostly capital cities, so there was an urban presence, but also you're in some rural, farm, land towns, places like State College, Pennsylvania, anywhere in Indiana's on a farm, as far as I'm concerned.
You got Naptown. What you talking about?
I mean, like Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
I mean, it's like, man, some of these, it's like, if I can have a noon game, 11 o'clock game, I'm definitely getting out.
Right.
If the opportunity presents itself.
Right.
And I'd be doing 100 miles back to Indianapolis from Bloomington.
Reggie, it's funny you talk about that because, that's what it's like big game, but it's the cities, right? So that's, with the collapse of, what was, as we know, of the Pac-12, the Pac-12 had great cities. You had 2 schools in LA. You had 2 schools in the Bay. You had a school in Phoenix, right? You had a school in Seattle. You had a school in, Portland. You were going to,
Don't forget Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake, you were going to Denver. You were going to some big, flying into big airports, big cities, right? To where now, which I'm grateful to be moving on, but now you're going to, places to where it's like, okay, I've never been here before, so it's going to be exciting and new, but
you're going to be flying to Pittsburgh
and driving for 2 hours.
Right? Like, man, it's like, finally I get to go to Pittsburgh, Kramer. I know how excited you are, for that first West Virginia game.
Oh yeah,
I hope it's in November,
especially in September, baby. Especially in September.
But to get back to Ashante's question about what the travel is like now, you're used to painting different towns, red. And if you were on the Reggie Smith crew, you were going to be painting some towns red, no doubt about that. And so now it's like the monotony of every week I'm flying to New York, I'm driving to Stamford, Connecticut, I'm checking into the Residence Inn, dinner, at the Capitol Grill, on a Friday, dinner at Puerto Vallarta on Saturday.
It's just the routine of it, right?
Fly home on a Sunday morning, boom, back to the real world. Right. Now, the difference being when I put the headset on, all right, now I mean business. I take that headset off, and I've told you this, Cravon, I don't have a worry in the way, as long as I don't say something screwed up on air.
Right.
As long as I don't lose my mind one day and, just start spewing crap.
Mm-hmm.
I won't have a worry until it's
no
time
quick
to
ref.
put that headset on. Yeah, there's no quick ref. There's no Monday morning calls about what happened in this game, what happened with this call, what happened with this coach. No more of that. No more how this guy's underperforming. You better get him up to speed. I mean, there's literally none of the stress. I mean, my video intake is down. I mean, that's like one of the first areas where I was able to reclaim time during the week. All of these hours that I'd be watching film at home. It's like you're home, but you're not home.
Right.
And I'd be holed up, on a Zoom call. I'd be watching film, reviewing this, critiquing that. It's like all of a sudden you're not doing that for 2 to 3 hours, in a day, anymore. Now I watch plays where I comment, obviously self-critiquing. Could I have said less here versus in that situation? What could I have better explained the rule, the intent of the rule, how the rule maybe wasn't, met here, anything. And it's like, okay, did I say it in too many words? Would less have been better? Did I have a good lead out, of my segment here, of my hit? So those are the type of things that, I look at now in my role and critique, and it's never been any more than 5 in a game.
Wow.
I'm not worried about every announcement. Did it roll off the tongue properly? Did I point the right way? Was my diction the same? All that stuff. So
Was your hat twisted? You
was the hat
you wore your
crooked
hat,
or not?
you wore your hat a little different. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta represent.
So my question is, now you brought up something. How do you compare your first announcement to your first segment when you announce?
Ooh, boy, that's a good one. Boy. I look at my first segment and I've looked at it a lot now. But the very first segment I had was in week 1, second quarter, Notre Dame, Tennessee State. And it, of course, involved targeting. The most controversial type of play we got in our game.
Right.
And they're bringing me in and quickly found, thankfully through Terry in like rehearsals and going through the screen test, that number one, it shouldn't be my goal to find agreement with Cravon when he's stepping away from the monitor and putting the headsets down. It's like whatever you're about to say is what you're about to say, regardless and independent of my analysis of what I feel the play might be. So understood early that I don't have to be in agreement with the final decision. Oftentimes, more often than I would have liked, I found myself in disagreement with decisions on targeting and some replay decisions, last season. And,
whoa. Slow down there, Reg.
Sorry,
No,
we got
no
our
reason to
resident
disagree with
replay guy,
replay.
Monty.
They get their feelings hurt
They
quickly.
get sensitive.
Right, real sensitive, boy.
I mean,
Godly.
listen, it's not enough, having that wheel.
Right, to pause and rewind.
Slow it down frame by frame,
Right.
on the wheel, which I also have, by the way, might I add. But just in, like how we critique it, like what we've got to worry about. Like the first announcement I thought was spot on to speaking on the rule of targeting, the, what you need to have, that makes targeting. And they came out and said, okay, I didn't feel that it was. They said that it was. They instituted it. It wasn't called on the field. So, Monty, guys like Monty get bored up there in the booth all of a sudden. Hey, how can I get involved in this game now? And, this
You sound like a referee,
right
Reg. You sound like
my hands in it.
Me.
You're right.
He bringing up his post-traumatic stress. Like,
yes.
We didn't call it on the field. How did
Right, right. What did they see? Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't called on the field. Here comes Monty and, his partner coming in. Saying,
sometimes it's bigger the second time you look at
it. Right. When you pause it.
Well, they were still wrong. And so now they come out, referee comes out, makes an announcement that's against my analysis. And of course, they're like, well, let's go back to Reggie. And I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, we can't just agree to disagree. Now they want to come back to me and see if, is he going to pour salt in the wound? Is he going to double down? But really what they want, I mean, it would have been an error on my part to waver in that moment. And that's what pleases the producers and directors at NBC. It's like, okay, you came out with analysis, you stood by it, but you gave a rationale both the first time and the second time on why you didn't feel this was the best call. That's all we can do. It's not like a correct call 7.
Right.
Or,
you got incorrect judgment.
Right. You don't have to worry about any of those letters together anymore, So, but if there's something they feel, hey, from a production value, could have been done better. Hey, maybe you need to focus more on the camera. Maybe like those type of notes generally will get passed down, in the form of an email. But I'm never wondering at what point, oh man, is this setting me back for the such and such bowl game this year? It's going to be hard to catch Mike DeFee now.
Well, shit, you're gonna have the best seats for all the bowl games now. You get to see every single one of them. Sure.
Yeah, from my couch, like every other fan.
See.
ESPN's got a monopoly on those bowl games.
The bowl games, right? Right.
When you're at NBC, it gets a little lonely after Thanksgiving, man.
They paid for them
Right.
That's right.
I think it was 41 bowl games last year, and like 39 of them was broadcast on NBC, ABC networks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I mean, the worldwide
it was
leader in
crazy.
bowls.
Right. Right. Now, Reg, you are a prominent figure in the officiating camp world, off seasons, helping young officials train and get better, and you still do that now. Did you find yourself that first year, coming home afterwards, when you were done, and still reaching out to some of the people that you either mentored or you worked with, like, hey, I saw this in a game? Did you find yourself doing that when you got home, Sundays and
Yes.
Mondays?
And a lot of the officials, believe it or not, who would work the NBC game or whatever game I was working, many would seek, feedback, just based on, hey, would you, how'd it play? As officials, we all sort of have those, I don't want to say clouds hanging over us, but, we're humans. We care enough to think, okay, what it's like at halftime. You might have like a lot of stuff going on in a half. You know what it's like. Guys are getting into the, locker room. Everybody's darting for their phones. They're looking to see what their buddies saw. Hey, good call. Pass interference call, correct call, right on it. Or pass interference, I don't think you're going to like this,
Those are the worst words you want to get in the text. David, I don't think you might want to look at that one again.
We would always say, if you saw, take a look. Whenever take a look came up in the post-game review or it's like, yeah. It's
take a look at this play, first quarter, 8:59. Oh, shucks.
That's it. And so a lot of guys, especially people that I'm, close with, and I know, not everybody can take feedback. But people who weren't seeking it, sometimes I'd offer here and there, and it's generally well received, but pretty much I'm limited to seeing, like in this capacity, I'm limited to seeing Big Ten and ACC officials. In a rare case, I saw a Pac-12 crew last year, who was working on Big Ten soil. So, and that people from that crew were, interested in feedback as well. So, I guess depending on, what you've been in the officiating community, just like there are people who are instantaneously credible. There are people like above us that taught us, supervisors, that it's like, hey, they tell you something, you're taking it to the bank, and as far as people who are moving up, and, even if these were people on my crew, there's a level of critiquing that needs to be done to get better. So yeah, I still find myself, doing that. And getting back to the camps, like this year, I'll be serving as a referee, position leader for SWAC referees, a crew mentor in the Big Sky Conference. So, going to have a crew that I just follow that's going to help me, hey, it gives me at least one game to watch a week, and then,
I know what you're doing is keeping you frustrated in the rules. That's all
exactly.
that is. I know your cheat
That's
code.
it.
That's all that is.
Well, hey, got to stay fresh with the rules,
Yeah.
because, I can't be out here, I'm an authority now on the rules, and, so
Yeah, they ask you a rule question. You bringing up the one from the book, 2020 book. Hey, I know you're not paying that $276 the ref.
Man, it's funny you say that. Look, these ref quest fees have gone up. I said one of these years, the refs are going to revolt. Officials are going to revolt over getting, $25 a chip away here and there. I think nobody's going to notice. And it's like, what do we get for it? And
$275.
2 books.
So yeah, you get the rule book
and a mechanics manual.
Right.
It's like I can download a PDF, which is actually preferable to me to have it on my iPad.
Yeah.
Versus having it in print, weighing down my bag, doing all that, stuff. But hey, some people like the print, highlight, all that stuff, make notes, more power to them. But now, as a member of the media, I think I pay 1/3 of what you guys are paying now.
For real?
For real.
Ah,
I get the media pass. listen, I still, will have access to the videos, which, I made a suggestion. It's like, wouldn't you like, what do you guys think? I'd ask Monty, but he keeps dropping off the call. But, he doesn't have a stable internet connection right now.
He's stuck in the airport. He got caught up in that global issue.
Dude,
Travel.
that was me this past weekend for real. But, it's like, what was I talking about? I got
We were talking about
the video on RefQuest.
RefQuest video. Yes. You had a suggestion.
Listen, the annual training videos, wouldn't it be, or the weekly ones for that matter, wouldn't it be better if it didn't have background music?
No.
I mean, when have you ever been on? I mean, did David Coleman ever put out a training tape in the Pac-12 that had, background music?
No comment.
And nobody got that in their conference. But it's like one of those things where it came up this past week, and it's like, yeah, it's a distraction. I've been lobbying against that for some time, but no comment. Sorry, I just had to get off on that tangent.
No comment.
Now, Reg, is there anything new this year that you could talk about? I mean, NBC is going to have more college games than it ever had, right? With the Big Ten being a part
plus Notre Dame.
Plus Notre Dame. Plus, I think on the Peacock network, they have some other games and some other conferences still, too. So is there some new things? Are you going to be even more involved or have more assignments this year with so many games coming in?
It will. So basically last year, the most we would have in a day would be three broadcasts between a noon, 3:30, 7:30 time slot. Well, based on the way that, the landscape has changed and with the contract being what it is, had an escalator clause. Hey, you add more teams, we, can do this, that, the other, obviously pay more money as well. But now, like, let's say, for instance, like week 2, there's going to be, I forget whether it's which one of the former Pac-12 members, but one of the West Coast schools in the Big Ten is going to be televised at 10:30 p.m. So we're going to have a slot for that. And there's
at
a
night?
good chance, yes, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is 7:30 local for West Coast.
Right, right.
So it'll fall into a 10:30 p.m. time slot. And I believe there's going to be, a few weeks, maybe a handful all year, where there may be 4 broadcasts in a day, starting from noon until, 1 a.m., 1:30, 2 a.m. When you look at, and I'm talking Eastern time, but you get to that point where
you can hit every time slot. I mean, and that's what TV is looking for, right? No matter what network, that's what college football, these conferences are trying to do, that they have games going in every single, they want all 4
sun up to
slots.
Sundown, all for one network.
Right.
And so, yes, it's going to create opportunities, because at some point we thought, well, maybe NBC might want to bring in more analysts, which, hey, that's more people to, more slices of the pie. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they don't want Terry. Terry's the golden goose. So they don't want him burn out for Sunday Night Football, right?
Right.
They want to make sure when Sunday Night Football comes around, he doesn't look like he's been a workhorse, from Thursday night, Saturday afternoon, and night now. So it's like, okay, he can. And so I can see doing 2 in a day, a piece. But now, last year, I want to say there were 3 dates where I did 2 games, in a day. So even that is not as taxing as working 1 game on the field. On 1 game on the field, you're physically exhausted.
You get coffee during the breaks.
I'm back in the green room in between games, and they're feeding you.
Got your feet up.
Yeah, I got the feet up.
Climate control.
Oh, you eat how they eat in
on Twitter.
You eat how replay eat at the stadium. You got prime rib or something.
Hey, man. Man, I was at Oklahoma State. They had brisket.
He got so okay. That's crazy though. Those late games though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have some late nights at that 7, that 7:30, but really kicking at 7:42 Pacific time
Right.
games. That's what it's funny because with all the movement and stuff, a lot of people thought all these West Coast teams, they're going to the Big Ten, so they don't have those late games. I'm like, no, these TV networks still want that, what
We're
used
gonna
to be called
gobble it up.
Pac-12 after dark
Yeah.
games. They want that late kickoff so everybody can, they're in every single time slot. It's just more
And to
money.
show you who else is in cahoots with all that, I mean, obviously, college football has grown to what it is. And now with gambling being, deregulated and,
Right.
basically across the country, now you got these people, and of course, none of us are involved in that. I don't even feel like I got to give that disclaimer, but
Nah.
but shit, it's better.
Go ahead and give it.
Go ahead, give it.
That's right.
We don't.
Right.
Do not.
Do not condone. I don't even know what it is.
but it's a heavy
I
it's a heavy
disavow.
influence in sport. It always has been, but now
Right.
Pandora's box, right? You used to didn't talk about it at all. Now they have they have the lines running at the bottom of the
Yeah.
screen. Heck, the analysts on TV are talking about it.
Mentioning it.
The talent they're picking against the spread and all this beforehand. So it has
Right.
really changed the way it goes. You even look at the new deal with the NBA. Once football season is over, the NBA is going to have a nationally televised game in some platform every single day of the week. It's not going to be, that Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday that we were used to. And then, TNT would come in on a Thursday.
Right.
Now, once football season is over, NBA is going to be nationally televised somewhere 7 days a week because people just want that action. I mean, it's
78
sports.
billion.
Right.
78 billions and billions.
Wow.
Right.
No, but
Yeah.
it's like seeing what the network has become now with the two slots. And one thing that I feel is a distinct advantage is like we're working one game at a time, working one game in one time slot. And other networks do a fine job, but I couldn't imagine, you're having to be constantly on the ball and on high alert if there's let's say there's 3 games on your network in a particular time. Like the NFL is a good example. CBS, Fox, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock time slots. I mean, there's a bunch of games going on. So from an analytical standpoint, they might have, multiple different games going on around them. And like Dean, Mike, or Gene might be called into, hey, what's on camera? TV2, screen 4, screen. This is going on in Green Bay. Hey, we got a, scoring situation in Jacksonville. So it's like they're, pinging and ponging, in a time slot. And, I feel like Terry, feels it's beneficial as well to, hey, here we are on this one game in this one time slot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not really, getting the quantity of games that we're, appearing in, but it's more the quality of like one production, we see as a value at NBC.
Hey, do you see any way to get more officials into officiating with what you're doing now? Any opportunity for that?
I think what, being in this role has shown, just like we've seen from Mike, Dean, Gene, Terry, John Perry, it's like people who have typically had these roles do so after a lengthy career on the field. And that has just sort of been what the position has entailed. Rewind 20 years ago when instant replay was first becoming a thing in college football. Who were the people we used? The veteran officials who were just coming off the field, sort of slid on up into the replay booth, because that was a common practice. It's like, hey, we wanted people who had years of on-field experience.
Mm-hmm.
And now you look at how the dynamics for that has changed, Monty. It's, it's like
That's how you got a job, Monty.
Hey, praise Jesus.
Like, they ain't care. Like, hey, we don't want somebody longer than the two.
Right. We don't need no experience. We can hire Monty. Come on.
Bring Monty here.
We can bring Monty on.
We're hiring everybody else. Why not? So
Hey, sometimes better be lucky than good, fellas. Sometimes
it's true.
lucky than good.
But we talk about this more stuff opening up for officials. What I was hoping for, remember when Austin got the job with the Raiders, as the replay
Yes.
person? That's what I want. When are the more teams gonna go with getting officials and putting us part of their analytical reports, like, hey, this and that, to where you have somebody that used to officiate on staff, with the analytics people, chiming in. It's just the more opportunity for us to work.
Absolutely. And those days are coming. I'll give an example. John Perry, who I just mentioned, left ESPN. As we all know by now, he's going to be like the Buffalo Bills, analyst, in that role. It's, being on TV is one thing, but now he's going to be closer involved back to, the game and the game day action on a week to week basis. And, I believe we're going to see more people in that role. It's a matter of time before, coaches they're a funny group. They feel that something is going to give them an edge, a slight edge over their rival, over their division rivals, over their whoever it may be. They're going to take that shot at being, a step ahead. And ultimately we're going to see what the demand for it is. But, if there's a role to be served in that, and it's like, hey, they're going to want to see results just like anything else you pay for. Mm-hmm. What results are you giving me in this role? Are we getting leaner on our penalties per game? Are we, being coached better? How are we being coached to get away with it? It's like, hey, now we've got a guy on staff, who's viewed weekly NFL training tapes, understands, what philosophies are being, taught to the officials, what the officials are looking for and holding. And if you can be an asset to a coaching staff and say, okay, we're going to make it so, this team was called for 14 holds last year. If we can get that 14 down to 7, boom, we're going to be so much better. We're not stalling drives, killing ourselves, shooting ourselves in the foot rather. So it's, one of those deals where I think a staff would have to see a benefit to the role. But it's just one more thing that, from the time you pick up a flag and whistle, the, youth level, it's just one more area for us to go into when you get tired of running up and down the field, getting cussed at by
but what did Gerald Austin say? He said the coach told him, if you get me fined, you're going to have to pay it out your check. He said, I'm going to have to work here for the next 15 years.
So I got one for you, Reg. So did you ever thought that you since you retired from the NCAA, did you try to still do the USF, the spring leagues? Did you ever feel like, you wanted to come back?
Look, I would have been very happy to have been able to work in the UFL. As a matter of fact, I, made it known I was interested, but at the end of the day, it's like I shared this with Steve. If there are other people that, you're interested in developing, then, it's me, I'm just trying to hang on to something. For somebody else who is in that program, they're looking to actively develop. Well, those are the people that they need to actively be taking a look at. Those are the people who need to be working on, the snaps. Now, you consider this year, there were limited snaps, 4 games, something to me, I'd be taking away a position, even though it's such few snaps. Like if it's a week to week thing where we've got a 10-game, 8-game schedule, and you have a chance to really build up crew dynamics, that would be a win. But as it was, while I would have liked to have done UFL, it wasn't a big deal not, being selected for that this year because of the changing dynamics of it. And, just the opportunity for me. There's nothing else I work on in the off season other than camps, and clinics. But, it's like when you get away from spring football, it's not the worst thing. So more time on your hands.
Now, Reg, before we close everything out here, we kind of talked about a little bit, stepping away from the field, the retirement, and nobody's sending you that go watch So, I want to give you your flowers, because I don't think us as officials give the people that step away from you got the opportunity to step away on their own, right? Even though you got an opportunity to, go out, and do something else bigger and different than being on the field. But the conference ain't sending us no, hey, gold plaque, hey, thank you for your 20 years of service. You talked about it. You did 15 plus years. Now, they were all in different conferences, not all of them, but on the field, and there was nothing given. So I'm going to give it to you.
We got to give $25 gift card to Red Lobster, Red. Presented by the Unofficial Lounge.
Exactly.
Do they still accept those?
Yeah, all the Red Lobsters are closed.
Right.
Don't use it all. Don't use it all. Eat it all up at once.
It was an official that just stepped away from the Pac-12. That was a local SoCal guy that I shot out a text, and I'm like, hey, man, nobody else may reach out and say, congratulations on your career. Appreciate what you've done for the officiating and then what you've done for me personally. But thank you. We need to do that more often. And I just think, even though you're still connected with it and we still talk to you often, heck, I still sing you play, especially with me having to make announcements now. You brought something to the game, and you continue to bring something to the game that is great, because as number one, being young black male, being in a position that you were in, the leadership role that everybody, and the respect that you got while you was out there, we appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you do even bigger and better things. But man, we miss you, because you were one of, if not the best on the field.
We don't miss you, Reg. You still there, buddy.
Yeah, we don't miss you. We miss you on the field, your presence, your grace, the style you had. Even when you had the Under Armour belt on the field, it was like you brought something to the game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you had style.
No, I appreciate that. And, again, I tell people this. It's like, if you're really, really lucky, you're going to get to the National Football League. If you're really lucky, have a good amount of luck, you're going to get to work in Division I football, and even once we're there, there's disappointment over this assignment versus that assignment. And, we're competitive by nature, but, as far as like goals, and which they're always shifting, I think the best thing, I've said it this week and I maintain it, been to some nice places, worked some nice bowls, all that's going to be, forgotten someday, but the people you meet, to be able to have the respect of my peers means more to me than any bowl, league, anything. It's like, no, hey, it's like I came in, did my thing, had a good time doing it, met great people, belonged, was good at it. And, but the people I met, that's just been so much more rewarding than anything I'll ever take away from a single bowl assignment or big game. So been fortunate to know you guys, and, know plenty of people around the country that, are fans, that are friends, and, their support means all the world to me.
Yeah. Oh man,
that right on.
Exactly. Come on, you ain't got no applause, Shante?
I'm giving the man the applause. You know what I'm saying? Hey, hold up.
I can't hear it.
You heard it, Quavon, didn't you?
I heard it.
Yeah, you stuck in that Southwest lounge. Like, don't even have a you have a lounge and stuff. Somehow you see the fine Southwest.
Internet keep on dropping out and stuff.
Yeah, he had the Spirit Lounge.
Hey, but with that, everybody, Reggie, we want to thank you again. We look forward to seeing you even more on NBC this year, and all the other,
and Peacock
and everything else that you will be a part of. And hey, man, keep doing what you're doing. Keep opening the doors for a lot of us that you already have done in the past, and you can continue to do. And we look forward to, we got to have, certain people we like to have on yearly on the show, because they always bring something.
He got PR now. We can't have him. We got to get him on when we can.
We got that.
We got to give them on when we can.
But
Hey,
right,
I
we
don't
got to
need
get them on when we
permission
can.
from my
But we're gonna look forward to
supervisor.
this big old Big Ten, because it's NBC is jumping into sports again heavy. NBC back in the day was the
They was
sports.
everywhere.
They were everywhere, and then they lost the NFL, for a while there, and kind of they lost the NBA.
They lost the
Now they
NFL, and now they got
Lost
Reggie the
college
Ref.
other than Notre Dame.
right.
And now
So
Reggie
now
the
they
Ref has NBC.
See,
Right.
Because, yeah. Because I
Yes.
tell you what, it's been a fun ride one year, and getting ready to go here into year two. This is going to be just slightly different because last year I didn't have any idea what to expect. Was brand new at it, got the job in July. This year have some idea of what to expect. So this year two is going to be the best one yet. Looking forward to it.
okay, got to
All
end
right.
on that.
And on that, everybody, welcome back to the lounge.
All right, thanks, Reg.
Thanks for tuning in to the Unofficial Lounge podcast. Don't miss your chance to join PCH Street's MVP Wine Club. Get 3 amazing bottles sent to you every quarter and discover wines that make us throw a flag and stop the game. Visit pchstreet.com/join to become an MVP Wine Club member today. Enjoy the best of the Central Coast of California.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Remember to please like and subscribe, as the Unofficial Lounge is available on all your podcast streaming outlets, including Apple, Google, Spotify, and Anchor. We look forward to you joining us next time in the Unofficial Lounge.